There are few traces in Holland today of the devastating war which engulfed the country between 1940 and 1945. The pre-war images have survived intact as picture postcard cliches. Yet these serene and well-kept meadows and villages were once fought over by men who died in their thousands. For the most part, the memories are evoked by war cemeteries scattered throughout the Netherlands. Of the more than 11,000 Canadian soldiers who died in Holland, some 6,000 are buried in 30 different cemeteries across the country. Visitors are fewer each year, mainly relatives and the dwindling and aging veterans who fought in the fields in which their comrades now lie buried. The countryside is quiet now, but in the last bloody year of the Second World War, Holland, it seemed, was one vast battlefield as the Germans yielded inch by inch before the advancing Allies. Spearheading the liberation of Holland were some 170,000 Canadian troops. Their first task was to clear the Germans from the estuary guarding the vitally needed port of Antwerp. Finally, breaking German resistance around Antwerp and securing the port for Allied convoys, the Canadians pushed north and east, liberating towns and villages in their drive. In the Dutch imagination, it was the Canadians who finally delivered them from the brutal occupation of the Germans. The end came on May the 4th, 1945, with the unconditional surrender of the German army. As the Canadians marched into Amsterdam, there was an explosion of joy in the Netherlands that spring and summer. To be a Canadian was to be kissed, to be embraced, to be adored, and the love affair was to last for many months. As other Allied troops began leaving Holland, the Canadian contingent actually grew. Holland became the final staging point for all Canadian forces in Northwest Europe. They virtually became the civil authority in Holland. Their first and most urgent task, organizing the distribution of food to a hungry and grateful people. There was also time for relaxation, time to fraternize with civilians who had been delivered from a nightmare. The battle-toughened Canadian soldiers were heroes, particularly to young Dutch women who had grown up during the war, which emptied the country of their men, most of whom had been shipped to Nazi labor camps. That summer became known in Holland as the Wild Summer of 1945. Its consequences were to prove fateful to some 4,500 illegitimate Dutch-Canadian children. All born in 1946, all now 38 years old, they became known as the Children of the Liberation. There are some happy endings. While in Holland, Olga Rains met Eddie Bauhaus, a man she'd previously only spoken to on the phone. She had traced his father, and in a few days, he and his wife, Annemie, were going to Halifax, Nova Scotia to meet him. He'd also be meeting his 11 half-brothers and sisters, and his children would meet their grandfather and aunts and uncles. Eddie remembered the first time he spoke to his father on the phone.
We didn't say very much, and I only remember he asked me, "Do you know who I am? I'm your father." Well, I don't know exactly what I said then.
You don't remember?
And I remember that he said 2 or 3 times, perhaps. It's hard to believe, it's hard to believe.
What is it that you expect when you go to Canada and you meet your father and his 11 other children? What do you expect?
What do I expect? I don't know. Well, we already have the feeling we don't go to strange people. We have the feeling we knew them for many years. We contact them so often that, what do I expect? I don't know.
A father?
Just to know, no, a father. Yes, I think so. Yes, I think so.
He accepts you.
Yes. Yes, you can say so.
That's important for you?
It's very important for me.
Why?
Well, that means that he also, his whole life, there in Canada, every day I was in his mind, I'm sure. So he was in mine, I was in his. I'm sure of it. And I like that very much.
Eddie Corporons of Tusket, Nova Scotia, now age 65, waits at Halifax Airport to meet his Dutch son for the first time. And he doesn't know what he's going to say to him.
What do you say to a 38-year-old stranger from Holland who happens to be your son? What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I gotta meet him, and I don't know what to say.
Have you been thinking about it?
Thinking about it. Dream, I done. I was in Holland about 3 times last night in my dream. Oh yeah.
You know, for Eddie, he has been. It's like he's been living a book with a chapter missing.
Right.
And he's finally.
He's going to close up his book, in other words. And I'm glad for him. I am glad. But what to say to him when I see him, I don't know.
It's a strange situation.
It is. It is. It doesn't happen every day. I mean, this is 1 out of a million, I would say. Yeah.
Has it closed a chapter for you?
I think it will after we get together and talk, and at least I'll figure, well, I done the right thing anyway. That's it.
There's nothing furtive about this meeting. The whole family is here, minus their children. They've come in a van donated for the occasion. Eddie Sr. is nervous, and he says he can't go through with it. A daughter tells him, "Dad, you started this, now you're going to finish it."
And this is Mother. Yes. Yes. I'm Denise. That's Denise. Glad to see you.
Julie, okay.
Mark?
Mark. Fine.
All right.
Okay.
I'm Janice. Hi. Welcome. I'm Patsy. Hi. How are you? Hi. How about you? Fine. That's good. Welcome to Canada. Down to the family. Hi. Hello. Hello. How are you? Hello. He's your grandson.
Hi, I'm John. Hi.
Yeah.
I'm Daryl.
Yeah. No. Traffic. Just a big happy family.
Great. Family like this one. Great.
Hello, Hannah. You know, I was asking him before you arrived, what is he going to say to you? And he didn't know. You spent 7 hours on a plane. What were you thinking?
This feelings you can't explain. You can't explain. No words first.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah? I'm grateful. I'm very grateful to be here, and everyone is here. That is very great.
Your
Really.
family.
Family.
Yes. Our family.
And I'm proud to be a part of this family. Really, we are all here. It is very great. Believe me.
And I'm proud you're here.
And I have to mention again, Mrs. Olga Rains. But without her, we never met each other here.
That's true.
I think so.
So you didn't have to worry about what you were going to say to him.
I guess that. The words come out anyway.
There are some 4,500 men and women in Holland who would like to know their Canadian fathers. Eddie Bauhaus is one of the lucky ones.